Hello and welcome. Rose and Linda are back here with you today to share with you an Inclusion in Action book study recap video for session 2. So we want to kick off with a little quote today. Modifying curriculum to include students who work below grade level has profound benefits. Students with disabilities can spend more time with their peers learning high quality curriculum through research-based strategies. We really thought that was a great summary of these 3 chapters, which are all about accommodations and modifications. So in the next section, you'll see a little wordle that we made. I'm talking about who were the people that you talked about last week about inclusion. So know that's just a representation of our conversation, and there's many more people on that team. And every time you have a conversation, it's going to have a wonderful ripple effect to benefit your students. So why modify? We want to allow that individual to use their existing skill repertoires while promoting the acquisition of new skills and knowledge. So we have some great discussion on that, which we've summarized below. Linda's going to talk a little more about how that led into a discussion on UDL and MTSS.
Presuming competence is always forefront here. As we look at UDL and multi-tiered systems of support, we had a discussion that, special ed students can receive all 3 tiers. And for all students, it's great to give them a choice, and that gives them more engagement. So as we look at universal design for learning and multi-tiered systems of support, we wanted to give you some resources that you could check out for really what that is and how it's done. And so here's just some resources from CAS that UDL will provide a blueprint for creating instructional goals, methods, materials, and assessment that work for everyone. Not a single one-size-fits-all solution, but rather flexible approaches that can be customized and adjusted for individual needs. On the other hand, multi-tiered systems of support is a school-wide approach to delivering specialized instruction and extra learning services to all students, including students with disabilities. MTSS is a continuum of system-wide support for students that extends beyond the classroom when required. We gave you some resources here, and again, we're remembering that we're presuming competence for all students, and these benefit all students. And so we'll let you explore those resources as you have time. But what we then specifically talked about in this chapter were what are accommodations and what are modifications and what the difference. And Rose is going to talk a little about that.
All right. So as you can see here, this top chart is a summary from the book talking about accommodations equaling accessible and modifications make things achievable. So we had a healthy discussion on this topic.
Yes.
And one of the things I thought was really good that you guys brought up was that accommodations have the same content or curriculum, but just additional supports to achieve that content. While modifications are changing the content or format to make it more accessible to students, especially students with different needs, variable needs. So there's a lot of great thoughts here too. And just to help you, because if you want to be explaining to your colleagues what's the difference between a modification and accommodation, this should really help you in that guiding that conversation, seeing both what our book had to say about it and also part of our discussion below. The other thing for each of the chapters or each of the sessions, Linda and I tried to come up with tech ideas for accommodations. A lot of the things in this book are maybe not necessarily tech ideas. They're great ideas that we can create into technology adaptations. So you can see here alternative access to written text. We have a whole link here to reading accommodation tools, writing accommodation tools. We have some resources here right from our inclusive technology website that SETC's created on graphic organizers and executive function supports for students. So you're welcome to research more of those, but keep in mind that almost all the ideas in this book, you can add a tech support and make it more accessible in that format. We talked about with you guys who's responsible for curriculum modifications at your school. And what we know is that usually it's a partnership between general ed and special ed teachers. But oftentimes, special ed teachers are doing more of it, but we really want that to be an equal partnership, and finding time for that collaboration is really important.
And in the discussion we had on this, it was noted that general ed teachers are under a lot of pressure. They have requirements to get through their material and specific amounts of material. And that's something that does need to be considered in this, and that special ed teachers are under a lot of requirements. And so we did talk about how that collaboration is really important, and we need to give time for that collaboration, and so that all the teachers feel supported and aren't feeling like this is just a burden on one person, but it's actually not a burden at all, but it's a collaboration where everybody's working together and they all feel supported. And so there was just some discussion on that. And then we'll let you look at some of those points as you explore this. And then just as a couple of favorite quotes from the session, we just wanted to highlight some of those. Even if a student can communicate verbally, increasing nonverbal communication can boost all communication skills. Accommodations support how the students show their learning. Modifications changes what they are learning. And then find people who are willing to try new things and start the conversation to modify. And then once again, students engage more if they are given a choice. Before we leave you today, we do want to just let you know that the Special Ed Technology Center is going to do another book study this coming winter and spring. It'll start in February on design and deliver, planning and teaching universal design for learning. So if you want to learn some more specific strategies for this, we would encourage you to register for this book study. It starts in February and it meets on Thursday nights going through the middle of April. Not every Thursday night though. So there's the information on that. And then we just quickly wanted to show you that in our session 3, we're going to start sharing out a little differently. The rest of the book is actually going to be specific strategies that the author is giving us. And so what we thought was fun is to have people share out how they have used these types of strategies. And so we have actually created a document where you can share your strategies. This is the second time we've done this book studies. We have included this from the last study. So you've already got a head start. So all we're asking you to do is just look at the strategies, put a slide together on how you've actually used that strategy. And so strategy 1, is it yes or no? Page 68 in the book. Here's how somebody used it. Strategy 2, find it. Here's how somebody used it. So you can just explore these and you can add some on your own if you would like. We will give you a link to this document we're working with, and we're just so glad you joined us on session 2 or you've joined us for the recap. And we'll see you for session 3 on November 29th. See you then.
All right. See you then. Thanks, everyone.
Great.